Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, the report that we've all been waiting for. Friday, September the 24th, 2010, 9:55 in the morning, an alert from the Associated Press. The Wisconsin board reopens probe into prosecutor who sent racy text messages to abuse victim. The agency that regulates attorneys in Wisconsin says it plans to reopen a misconduct investigation against a prosecutor who sent racy text messages to a crime victim. The Office of Lawyer Regulation said Friday it's able to reopen grievances when new information is presented. OLR, Office of Lawyer Regulations, Director Keith Sellen says it's received substantial new information about allegations against Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz. Pressure had built for regulators to explain why they failed to sanction Kratz, who admitted sending sexually charged text messages to a domestic abuse victim. The agency closed the case in March without disciplining Kratz, saying the text messages were inappropriate but not professional misconduct. Later on in the morning, the Wisconsin Crime Victims' Rights Board is staying mum on its handling of news that its former chairman sent inappropriate text messages to a domestic abuse victim. During a meeting on Friday, the board decided it could not discuss what Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz told members when he resigned as chairman in December and how they responded. Kratz has said he candidly described his inappropriate behaviour towards Stephanie Van Groll when he resigned from the board. Board lawyer Bruce Olson said Friday that conversation happened during a closed session. He said the board needs to call another meeting to decide whether it can discuss the issue because it was not on Friday's agenda. The board met in closed session Friday after a contentious session with a pack of reporters. Clearly they're getting the heat because they just decided to sit on it. They didn't really do any kind of looking at exactly what Ken Kratz had been up to. Remember, we looked at the letter that he sent where he basically was trying to say that they were mildly flirtatious, but they were inappropriate from the point of view that it was a conflict of interest, trying to really minimise what he'd been up to, because what he clearly didn't want to happen was what did happen, was that all of his dirty little secrets became public knowledge, as we are finding out, and not before time. And as we clearly know, Kratz's bad behaviour goes way, way, way back, even to the late 1990s. The idea that this was a one-off lack of judgment on his behalf, totally ridiculous, ludicrous. Anyway, it says here on Monday, September the 27th, 6:30 in the morning, an update from the Associated Press. The man who will oversee removal proceedings against a prosecutor who sent suggestive text messages to a domestic abuse victim is holding a hearing on Monday. Former Kenosha County District Attorney Bob Jambois scheduled a status conference at the Calumet County Courthouse in Chilton. Governor Jim Doyle appointed Jambois using a rarely used process to try to remove Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz from office. The Office of Lawyer Regulation also noted last week that it plans to reopen its misconduct investigation against Kratz. The agency closed the case in March without disciplining Kratz, saying the text messages were inappropriate but not professional misconduct. But officials there have changed their minds amid pressure from lawmakers and others to explain why they failed to sanction Kratz. Well, of course, Kratz was hoping that simply by resigning from the Crime Victims' Rights Board, sending his letter to the Wisconsin District Attorneys Association, as I say, trying to downplay that it was a one-off and it was just mildly flirtatious. Nonsense. Ha! Actually, this is the one we've been waiting for. Updated Monday, September the 27th, 2010, 11:35. An alert from the Associated Press wire service. Chilton, Wisconsin. Attorney says Wisconsin prosecutor who sent sexually suggestive texts will resign by October the 8th. Thank goodness for that. Let's have a look. Next one. Update from the governor's office. This is interesting. Until Governor Doyle has Kratz's resignation letter in hand, he will continue with the removal process, hopefully to embarrass him further. Chilton, Wisconsin, Associated Press. The attorney for the Wisconsin prosecutor who acknowledged sending sexually harassing text messages to a domestic abuse victim says the DA will resign his office. Attorney Robert Cranen, remember, who earlier was suggesting there would be no such thing, and others who suggested, if you want to get rid of Ken Kratz, do it in the voting. No. Let's just get rid of him straight away. Attorney Robert Cranen said Monday that Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz will step down before October the 8th, the date for a hearing on his possible removal from office. Again, I get the impression that Ken Kratz realised that he was going to have all of his dirty washing out in public, and he just didn't want that. Governor Jim Doyle appointed former Kenosha County District Attorney Bob Jambar to oversee a rarely used process to try to remove Kratz from office. In the end, you've used a very good one, which is just embarrass the hell out of him until he realises he's got to hang himself, metaphorically speaking. The Office of Lawyer Regulation also planned to reopen its misconduct investigation against Kratz. The agency closed the case in March without disciplining Kratz, saying the text messages were inappropriate but not professional misconduct. But officials there changed their mind amid pressures from lawmakers and others to explain why they failed to sanction Kratz. I think that's a little bit of the previous letter there as well. One more. Here we go. Wednesday, September the 29th, 7:10 in the morning. A panel that protects crime victims will meet to discuss its former chairman, who stepped down after sending harassing text messages to a domestic abuse victim. The Wisconsin Crime Victims' Rights Board meets Wednesday in closed session to discuss what members were told when Ken Kratz resigned and whether they can share that with the public. Kratz resigned after he was caught sending 30 text messages to a 26-year-old woman trying to start an affair while he prosecuted her ex-boyfriend. He has said he told the board about the messages and resigned in disgrace. His lawyer said Kratz will step down as Calumet County District Attorney in the coming days. The board can sanction officials who mistreat victims and has come under fire for inaction against Kratz. Of course, we've got a lot more to look forward to. It wasn't just a case of a simple resignation and that was it for Ken. No. The investigation into his disgraceful behaviour. One can't begin to describe how bad it is that, people come to him having been the victims of domestic abuse, and then he wants to carry on where the abusers have left off. Absolutely terrible, disgraceful. So as I say, lots more to look forward to in the fall of Kenneth Rapist Kratz. Bye for now.